We have a star-studded panel of judges who are about to come out and join me on stage here. We have Elizabeth Reynolds from Accenture. We'll also have Monique Woodard from 500 Startups, John Lyman from Google Ventures, as well as Ryan Hoover from Product Hunt. Can the judges come out and join me now? Thanks so much. Let's give them a hand as they come in. All right, let's give them a hand as they come in. And as they come out, I'll just tell you the format. The different startups are going to have about 5 minutes to pitch. And then our judges will have a back and forth discussion amongst themselves as well as with the startups that are pitching for about a 3-minute period, and then we'll move on to the next one. Okay, that makes sense to everybody? And then I think we'll have some time afterwards potentially for some Q&A, but I'm really excited about this. Again, this is the culmination to me of true diversity and inclusion and integrating it into how we do our work. With that, let's have our first startup. Our first startup is called and by the way, if you wanted to see the descriptions of the startups, they're near the back of your program. You'll see their bugs there. And I'm going to go through, we have 5 of the 10 that are listed there, okay, if you want to see their short descriptions. The first one is called WeFinance. I'll let you read the description yourself. And the person who will be presenting from WeFinance is Willie Chu. Willie, can you come out and join us now? Thanks so much. They've done a lot of work to get selected, so let's give them some good applause here, okay? Willie's coming. Probably getting mic'd up right now. Yeah. Are people enjoying the conference, by the way, so far? Judges, have you been here most of the day? Enjoying things so far? Okay, excellent. Okay. All right, Willie, super. The stage is yours.
Hi, everyone. My name is Willie. I'm one of the co-founders of WeFinance. And I want to talk to you about a problem today that's affecting 45 million Americans. And that's the problem of not having a credit score. On top of that, if you look at the issue of not having credit history, it disproportionately affects blacks and Hispanics, as well as low-income neighborhoods. Yet, at the same time, if you look at today, we're living in a time when there's more information than ever about our networks, who we are, who we're connected to, our behaviors, and none of that is currently being used by our financial system to assess risk or offer financial products. So how can we do that today? What we've been doing at WeFinance is starting out by making it easy and comfortable for someone to reach out to their community and ask for a loan. Then, on top of that, we can actually observe some really interesting behavior. Who in these people's networks actually comes forth, lends money, how close-knit are they to them, and how much are they lending? And then lastly, we can actually observe full cycle the behavior of whether or not these borrowers are repaying their loans. So the way that the product exists today, we've created a loan crowdfunding platform. So if you think about a GoFundMe or a Kickstarter, that's what it looks like today. And we have additional features where borrowers can actually ask their networks for endorsements. They can tell their story in detail about what they're doing, why they need the funds, and why they're reasonably going to be able to pay it back. If you look at today, we've chosen to start our growth really with the coding bootcamp space. If you were there earlier at today's session, at the Coding Bootcamp KPI session, you heard Albre from Telegraph Academy talk about how we've been able to help students both at Hack Reactor and the Students of Color Focused Telegraph Academy raise loans from their network, but also Hack Reactor's alumni, employee network, and as well as their mentors. The reason why we've gone after this space, first off, is that it's non-traditional education. So the funding options for this space are relatively limited. On top of that, we've definitely found that the problem of either running into expensive loans or straight up not being offered loans at all is disproportionately affecting students of color, students from minority groups, and other represented groups in tech. So it's been awesome that we've been able to really expand and really build this ecosystem around the borrower themselves. Make it easy for them to reach out to friends and family and really access this whole new broad network of alumni, other borrowers who have used the platform, community supporters, people who are vested in these people's interests. But there's the next step, and that's what our vision is here, which is actually teaming up with tech companies who are here at this conference to be able to offer additional funding options. There are a lot of folks that are already reaching out today and offering scholarships, grants to a lot of these students, particular groups, but we can see the impact even greater if we can actually offer a matching loan product, recycle those funds, and even potentially allow lenders to earn a return on those funds, and really bolster our ecosystem to be able to allow funding to really get to some of these underrepresented populations and really increase the pipeline for a lot of these tech companies to get access to these candidates who are going through these programs. We've got a really kick-butt team working on this. My co-founder is a behavioral economist who used to work at Facebook on ads, and I have experience working at Kiva in the crowdfunding space and Credit Karma in fintech. We're really excited about really turning the way that people understand and think about financing around and increase the access for people who are going through programs like coding bootcamps, but more broadly overall, who don't have credit history, don't have access to credit, to be able to have a channel to do that and then translate that into people understanding that people can be relatively low risk, but as long as they have the right ways to express it. So check out more at wefinance.co. Thanks.
Okay, super. Thanks so much, Willie. You ready for some questions from the judges?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, super. All right, judges, anybody want to go with their first question for Willie?
So you started off talking about how people in low-income communities, and especially Black and Hispanic users, don't have a credit history, but I maybe missed the part about how this actually helps them get a credit history. Is it about helping them get a credit history or providing an alternative to credit? And if it's the latter, then how is that different from GoFundMe, and how is it better?
Those are great questions. So there's two parts to answer that. The first is that this is an alternative. That's the starting point today. So this is a way that you can actually get access to credit that you might not have felt comfortable asking for in the first place. So the channel to do that, similar to a GoFundMe, only the structure is one where the borrowers are actually repaying the loans. The reason why that's important is that we do run into borrowers who don't want to be seen as charity cases. And especially for something like a coding bootcamp, where basically you're saying, I want to educate myself and be able to go earn significantly more income, it's hard to say, just give me money to do that. So that makes it easier for us to do that. But later down the road, what we do want to do is actually take this repayment data that I was capturing, that we were talking about earlier, either use that as a way to report to credit bureaus to help build credit history, or even use this as supplemental information for other financial institutions, or even us ourselves, to lend additional capital on our own.
And as the loan is, thank you for that. But as the loan is repaid, is it repaid directly to you, and then you disperse those repayments to the people who provided the capital?
So today on our platform, all of our lenders are real people. So all of the payments, what we do as a platform in terms of automating them, they're going directly from user to user. So we're actually the payment rails for all of our users, and we're actually moving the money directly from the borrowers back to the lenders, and from the lenders to the borrowers originally.
Okay, see if we can get a couple of other questions. Okay, yes?
So if I'm a potential borrower, what first attracts me to the site? Is it lower interest rates? Is it the social aspect? Is it building a credit history? What do you think is going to draw most people in?
Yeah, number one is definitely the lower interest rate, because a lot of the folks that are using the platform are either being offered loans that are far too expensive or are being turned away outright. And then the second piece is, by working with these coding bootcamps, they're basically plugging into this community in advance of them joining it, and actually being able to access alumni early, and actually having people who might be hiring them down the road be invested in their future. So there's multiple aspects on that side that attract our borrowers.
And my apologies, I think we only have time for one more, so we flip a coin between the two of you. Either way, okay, thank you.
So is your market really just primarily students who are looking to fund their education, or are you thinking about broader applications across different use cases?
Yeah, our vision for this goes far beyond education. The reason why we started there is that people are most comfortable talking about debt centered around education. It's something that's a positive investment. Most people can agree that education is a good investment in oneself. So that's been the easiest one for us to get over the hurdle. When we first started this idea, everyone was like, no one's going to want to talk about debt with their network. It's really embarrassing. But we've really been able to get over the hump because it's education. But our vision down the road is to be able to say, hey, someone who's trying to pay for expenses associated with moving across the country or having a new baby, all of these are things that should be out in the open and people shouldn't be embarrassed about. And our vision is really for the platform to be able to be an open channel across a lot of different use cases. But we're starting with education today.
Super. We promised to get you the first question on the next one, okay? Willie, thanks so much. The only thing that I can guarantee you lost a point for as a Stanford graduate is that you spent time at Cal also. So I can guarantee you just lost a point on that. Let's give Willie a hand, please, and we finance. Thanks so much, Willie.
Thank you.
Thanks so much. A couple details that I wanted to mention. You're probably wondering what happened before we bring up the next group, what happens after this. There will be a showcase outside during the reception where all 10 of the startups that were evaluated at the back of your program will be showcasing. In addition to that, at the end of the conference tomorrow, I think about 5 o'clock or 5:45, the winner of the showcase will actually be announced. So just to give you an idea of where all this ends up. Okay? Our next startup is Generation Games, so the top left-hand corner of your program if you're following along, making video games that teach standards aligned with math along with social studies and language arts in English and Spanish. Sounds like something I could use, actually. Our presenter for Generation Games is Maria Burns-Ortiz. Maria, can you join us? Let's give Maria a hand. Thanks so much, Maria. Thanks so much, Maria.
Hi, I'm Maria Burns-Ortiz, co-founder and CEO of 7 Generation Games. What if parents never had to fight with their kids about doing math homework again? What if in all that time your kid was spending on their phone, tablet, or computer, they were actually learning instead of watching videos of random people opening boxes of toys? If you have children, you know that's a thing. What if we could close the gap when it comes to math performance in this country so we didn't live in a society where 3 out of 4 high school graduates lack math proficiency? 7 Generation Games does that. At 7 Generation Games, we make video games that teach standards-aligned math using historically accurate storylines integrated into virtual worlds where math matters to survival. So it's not just, what's 160 divided by 8? But it's 160 miles to your next set of supplies, and you have 8 days to get there. On average, how many miles do you need to cover each day? And that's because our games are games. They're not just digitized versions of worksheets or flashcards packaged as an app. We know drill and repeat doesn't work, which is why in our games, repeated wrong answers lead to adaptive learning modules that teach the skills necessary to advance in the game and in life. And we're building our games to compete graphically not just with other educational games, but with all video games vying for kids' attention, meaning things like when you canoe on the river, the water looks and flows like water. We spent 2 years in development, usability, and efficacy testing, during which time we collected data that shows our games work really well. In fact, kids who played our games for an hour a week for 8 weeks improved 300% over the control group. And those results were replicable. Through applying artificial intelligence principles, we've created games that model what good teachers do to produce positive outcomes. And now we're scaling user growth. We have 5,000 users to date and are in use in 40 programs across the country. We're on track to see those numbers double in the next 4 months as we roll out to 30 more sites between now and February. And just this month, we released our first tablet app directed to the individual consumer market because 70% of parents are willing to spend money on apps for their kids, and educational value is the #1 factor in that decision. Now, we're taking a simultaneous B2B, B2C approach because it's been incredibly effective for other educational game companies. Kids ask their parents to get them the games they're playing at school, and parents tell schools, you should check out this game I bought for my kid. We think that'll help us become a player in the $2.5 billion educational games market, a market that is rapidly growing, having doubled in size in the last 5 years and on track to do that again. Moreover, because our games both teach and provide analytic data reporting, we can simultaneously compete for shares of the K-12 test and assessment market and the digital curriculum market, with more than doubling our potential market size. And we're already generating revenue. That's on top of the $1.6 million in funding we've gotten to date, of which $1.35 million is in the form of non-dilutive capital. That gives us 18 months runway, and we've already built out a line of games on top of our proprietary platform, games that are in both English and now bilingual English-Spanish language games, making us the only company on the market right now developing bilingual math video games. We have the people it takes to make this happen, bringing a combination of creative, educational, and technical expertise. I'm CEO. I come from a writing and digital media background, having previously worked on a startup as well as written a New York Times bestseller. Our president is a statistician with a PhD in educational psychology who's taught math at every level, from middle through graduate school coursework. And our CTO brings 30 years development experience in the defense industry, creating simulation software. Together, we lead a 15-person team, 7 full-time, 8 part-time employees in bringing 7th Generation games to life. And all of our development is done in-house. Now, for years, people have been talking about the transformative impact games could have on education, especially when it comes to math. But it hasn't happened. If it had, math scores would be going up, and they're not. Now, improving education is not an easy nor overnight process, but the stakes couldn't be higher, and we need to do something about it now because already too many kids, 3 out of 4, are learning too late that they lack the math skills necessary for the 21st century. And the return is there. Upping math proficiency from a quarter to even half of US students would have a projected $1 trillion annual impact on our economy. At 7th Generation Games, we have a quality, engaging, getting better everyday product and the resources we need for development there. But we don't want to end up with a bunch of really great games no one knows about, and our non-dilutive grant funding is restricted to R&D. As such, we're currently raising $500,000, primarily for sales and marketing, to get our games in the hands of as many kids as possible. Because whether it's your kids, or my kids, or kids whose parents don't even care about how they do in math, kids deserve better. So at 7th Generation Games, we're making better educational games. Games that effectively teach math. Games that make you smarter. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Maria. Okay, you ready for some questions?
I'm ready.
Okay, first one, I promised you.
All right, so now I'm the first one. So I used to work in the gaming industry, and I think looking at how games can be applied to education is super interesting. I'm curious to learn more about who your target demographic is in terms of the age and the student itself, and why you're focusing on that, and also where you're going longer term. If you look out 5 years plus, how do you see the company evolving in terms of your target demographic?
So we are focusing on 3rd grade and up, primarily late elementary through middle school. That's really the age where you start to lose kids. That's where if you don't understand some very basic things, you don't understand how to multiply, you don't understand fractions, you cannot go on. It's not like you can go back and, you didn't read a book, you can reread it. So we're starting at that. That's a key age of intervention. That's when we've talked to a lot of teachers, and that's where they see the need. So we've started there. Our goal is to build up through middle school. We think that's really the key, and just kind of go from there. We're building out a line of games, so we're starting with specific concepts, base 10 operations, fractions, and going from there.
Okay, thanks so much. Next question.
So your pricing model for your direct-to-consumer, I noticed there was quite a range there. Can you talk a little bit more about how you're going to price that?
Yeah, so we have several different types of games. We have iPad apps, and then we have Chromebook games, which are web-based, and then we have download installs, which is where you can really do the really strong quality 3D gaming engine. We do use Unity WebGL, which allows you to do it online, but right now, especially depending on where you are, there's a long download time. So we have several different options. So that's why per product, it depends on what it is. The app is about $2. The Chromebook version, web-based version is $5, and then the full download version, which they're all different games, but is the $10 version.
Super. One more, maybe? One more question?
How often are you releasing new games, and how are you combating game fatigue?
Sorry, I couldn't hear the second one.
How often are you releasing new games, and how are you combating the game fatigue?
Yeah, so what we're doing is we're releasing a new game. We're getting faster. So our first game took us about 18 months. The next one took us 12. Now we've gotten it down to about 9 months, and we think that's the maximum we're going to be able to get it down to, or the minimum we're going to be able to get it down to, because we create hundreds of educational elements that go into each game. And because we pick what what subject we focus on, what part of the standards, each game inquires, we can kind of reuse some of the code and build out on the platform some of the front end stuff, but all of the content has to be completely new. So in about 9 months per game, and what we do is they're different games. So one game's a first-person game, one's the third-person game. Some has 2D elements, some has 3D elements, and we try and keep it intentionally changing so kids don't get bored and they don't go, oh, I played this game and now you've just swapped it out and you put in different characters. So every game is different, and even within games we change it up. So we have one game where it's 2D and then 3D and then first-person. So we want to make sure that kids don't feel like they're playing the same game over and over.
Super. Thanks so much, Maria, and good luck to you. Let's give her a hand. Maria Burns-Ortiz. Super. And before we bring our next company out on stage, our next startup on stage, I just wanted to make a note. I really wanted to thank the sponsors for the Startup Showcase, Capital One, and I'm a Capital One customer. In fact, I need to make my payment, I think, now, as well as Accenture up here on stage. So I'd like to thank both of those organizations for sponsoring. Let's give them a hand, because without the sponsors, it doesn't happen, okay? Super. Okay. Super. Okay. Our next one, again, a little bit further down in the program here, number four, the fourth one down on the left side is Civic Eagle. Civic Eagle. And the representative from Civic Eagle that we'll have pitching us today is Damola Ogundipe. He was very impressed that I pronounced his name properly the first time. He did a double take and he paused and I asked him, why are you pausing? It's because nobody ever gets my name right to begin with. So let's give Damola a hand and welcome Civic Eagle to the stage.
I gotta watch those steps. All right, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Damola Ogundipe. I am the CEO of Civic Eagle. We are a data and mobile technology company increasing civic engagement in the United States, which is a $125 billion industry. All right, so I'm sure a lot of us here are pretty sick and tired of government and politics and what's going on. And we have a lot of issues with what's happening at the national level of politics. I know this election cycle isn't really helping the matter. I know for me, at least, it isn't. But when we started working on our platform, we asked the question, how can we make civic engagement at the local and state level better? And there was no better people to ask that question to than those that are the most civically engaged. And the people that are most civically engaged are people that actually work in government, which seems to be something that we miss a lot of the time. So when we did a lot of, during the year process that we interviewed individuals that worked in government and tried to figure out how we could help them better engage with the people that they serve, we found three main issues, three main problems. The first was that they wanted, there was a lack of data analytics and data visualization tools that were built specifically for them, specifically for local and state government entities. The second was that there was no industry standard for digital civic engagement. There was nothing like, what good user interface, user experience looked like from a civic technology perspective. And third, there was no comprehensive mobile solution for civic engagement. So we, after analyzing these problems, we recognized that there was obviously an opportunity here to build a company. And the company that we decided to build was a company that focused on 365-day engagement between local and state government and policy organizations and the people that they serve in the communities. And when we did a lot of digging into this industry, we found out that it's a huge one, a $125 billion industry. So we wanted Civic Eagle to become the premier data analytics company that empowers civic and government leaders to better serve us, the people of the members of the public, and get better public sector outcomes. So how do we do this? Well, we have two different platforms that we've built. One is called Flight, and Flight is a platform for local and state government and policy advocacy organizations. It serves a few main purposes, but the primary ones are it provides them with proprietary data analytics and data visualization through a software as a service platform, and also gives them mobile engagement tools like virtual town hall meeting capabilities, where they can actually, as a mayor, launch a virtual town hall so that they don't have to rent out a huge communal space. They can actually send information out to their constituents through a virtual town hall, as well as targeted mobile messaging. So we started working on that. It's still under development. We started working on it about a year ago. You can go to www.civiceagle.com/flight to check out our prototype, and I'll come back to that in a moment. The second platform that we built and that we already launched is called Eagle. And Eagle is for the American public. We recognize that if we built a platform, a SaaS platform for government, for local and state government, and there was no communication medium for them to be able to interact and engage with their constituents and with members of the community, it would fall on flat ears, would fall on deaf ears. So we built a mobile application that serves as a social network as well as a communication medium for members of the community. Now, it's been an award-winning platform. We launched it in February of 2016. It's been featured across national publications, and primarily because of our premier feature, our debate section, where users can actually go in and debate on social issues and civic issues that they care about. So our biggest debate issue so far was Beyonce's Super Bowl halftime performance back in February of 2016. But we've also had debate topics ranging from things like, do you support or oppose Hillary Clinton, or do you support or oppose paying student athletes? So we range from civic issues and social issues, which allows us to incorporate a lot of different and diverse opinions and people that may not otherwise be engaged in local, state, and national politics. It's a free app, and you can download it on iOS and Android right now. So how it works is that Flight integrates with Eagle and provides our civic leaders with both a communication medium as well as leverage to be able to interact with them in a really advanced proprietary way and increase civic engagement, subsequently increase civic engagement. Flight, on our splash page, we've already seen over 100 people, entities that have signed up for our Flight platform, again for local and state government, that are looking to use a platform like ours, which will generate over $100,000 worth of revenue per year just from the pipeline that we have for our beta subscription sales. We've been featured again in those national publications. All right, and how do we know that this is the right thing to do right now? Well, eRepublic Labs did some research and found that now was the right time with technology and social trends reshaping the landscape of government to do exactly what we're doing. We have a great team, myself included. We also have Shantara Hardy. She's the former chief of staff for our governor in Minnesota, as well as the commissioner of the Minnesota Deed, a great designer, a great CTO, and discover your voice, be heard. I'm short of time. Thank you.
The one thing I ask is that you promise not to put this in the hands of Donald Trump, because who knows what he would be able to do with this, okay? So promise me that.
We're a nonpartisan organization, so I cannot promise you that.
Okay. All right, let's go to the panel. First question here. Yeah.
So I think I understand the use case for the user app. What's the use case for the local government official, and particularly why are they going to pay for it? Are they surveying their constituents? Why aren't they using SurveyMonkey for that, which is free? Can you just talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so there's been a groundswell of local and state government entities that are looking to use data analytics and data visualization to better serve their constituents, as well as policy advocacy organizations to improve outcomes. So relying on surveys, relying on just binary polling isn't something they're looking to do anymore. They actually have line items, ranging in the millions to the hundreds of thousands for smaller municipalities, specifically for constituent engagement. And they waste that money right now on things like landline phone calls or door-to-door knocking, just to get the pulse of the community. We're able to reduce the cost that they spend right now by using technology and using especially ubiquitous connectivity to be able to help them do that.
Thanks so much. Next question.
So specifically for the Eagle product, a lot of these conversations are already happening on Twitter, on Facebook, on other social platforms. How are you incentivizing the user to kind of open up another platform? How are you thinking about getting people to have those conversations specifically on the Eagle product, as opposed to where they already are, having those conversations in place?
Yeah. So civic engagement has actually went down since the invention of Facebook and Twitter and those types of social media platforms, and the primary reason is because they weren't built to facilitate social and civic discourse. So actually, back in the early 2000s, local engagement, especially local voter turnout, was in the 20%, so around 22%. Right now it's at 18%, some say 16%. So we know that it's not working. Now in terms of people actually...
But that's voter turnout, that's not conversation.
Yeah,
the conversation is happening.
Yeah, so good point. But it's really important to also point out, now when it comes to conversation, we are seeing a lot of those conversations happen on Facebook and Twitter, but people don't want to have those types of conversations on there. We took a poll right now. I bet you a bunch of people are like, I'd rather see dogs and cats and pictures of my friends' kids and have the type of vitriol that we see on Facebook and Twitter, because it's not a space specifically built for that. So the people that usually are on there talking the loudest are the people whose voices most people don't want to hear. So creating a space where people are able to go on, and most of our users are people that were already on Facebook and Twitter. So they're removing themselves from that place of discourse and moving it to our platform because it has the tools built for them to actually work on civic engagement.
Since I took 10 seconds of your time, I want to get one more in.
Yeah, quick question. So the hardest thing is getting people to download another app and also then switch behavior from, as you mentioned, speaking on Twitter and Facebook to this new app. How are you acquiring users?
So we're partnering with organizations. We haven't spent a single dollar on marketing. We don't want to. We don't think we need to. So what we've been doing is going to policy advocacy organizations and affinity organizations and saying, hey, look, the value proposition here is that your members will be able to use an application specifically for civic engagement. There's a lot of great features on there for them. We'll be able to provide some information on how they're interacting on the application back to you. We get users. They get to look really cool because they're investing in technology. Their members get a platform that's specifically for civic engagement that they can interact with other members as well well as people that are that also care about the same issues that they care about. So we've seen great traction from that. That's how we've gotten every single one of our installs. It hasn't been from, and also obviously word of mouth, a whole kind of organic growth. But that's our growth strategy, is to specifically invest in national organizations. So we've already started talking to organizations like the DNC, the NRA, et cetera, nationally. Once this election cycle is over, we'll see a lot more commitment from them. So that's how we plan on growing.
Super. Thanks so much, Damola. Let's give him a hand. Civic Eagle. Let's give him a hand. Thanks so much, Damola. All right. Super. All right. Monique, you're the follow-up person. I know you're the king of the follow-up question. I'm starting to know your routine. You usually make sure you're holding the mic after everybody's done, too. Okay. Okay, our next one coming up will be Litterateur. So if you look in your program again, Litterateur is the second down on the right column, Litterateur. And the person speaking on behalf of Litterateur will be Michelle Ching. Michelle, can you come out and join us? And please, let's give her a big round of applause. These startups really work hard to get this far in the competition. They've really worked hard. They're obviously working hard on their product too, so let's really be supportive of them. All right? Come on out, Michelle.
Hi, my name is Michelle Ching. I'm the founder and CEO of Litterateur, and I'm here to tell you all about it. So, I felt overwhelmed standing in front of my second grade classroom looking at 7-year-olds whose future outcomes depended on my ability in that moment to teach them how to read. Whether or not they could read by the end of the year would have a direct impact on whether or not 10 years down the line they would graduate from high school. If a student isn't already reading at grade level by the time they leave 3rd grade, they're already 60% more likely to drop out. And 90% of high school dropouts struggle with literacy. I was determined not to let literacy be a barrier to my students' future potential. But my students' needs were drastically different. I felt like I couldn't be prepared enough, have enough time or resources to meet their individual reading needs. And this is not a challenge that was unique to me. This is a struggle that teachers across the country are faced with on a daily basis. I sought out best practices, I looked for other resources, but nothing felt natural or unintrusive. We didn't have a solution that worked, and it didn't exist until we built Litterateur. So, what is Litterateur? Litterateur is a mobile app that comes pre-programmed with the hundreds and hundreds of skills and behaviors that students need in order to be successful readers, and a way for teachers to track and assess and collect data on their literacy growth. All they have to do is enter in their students' names. Here's how it works. A student will sit with a teacher, and as they read, the teacher will be immediately prompted by Litterateur to see exactly which skills and behaviors they should be working on. And then they're also given a way to track that data. So before, teachers might be juggling notebooks, trying to use binders, resources, flipping through, and not being able to be present. Now, they can simply watch the student. And as they watch, they swipe to capture data. Litterateur takes those insights and immediately gives feedback and next steps to those teachers so they know exactly what to do to provide help for their students. The best part is it's free for teachers. Our business model is to charge schools and districts for a more robust data dashboard, taking those same insights from those teachers and giving schools and districts something they've never had before, which is the ability to see reading growth over time on a daily basis, plan professional development for their students, for their teachers based on the student needs, and for the first time, predict student outcomes so that they can provide the interventions long before there are problems. We're just getting started. We won't be finished until we've closed the literacy gap, a gap that disproportionately affects students of color and students in poverty. Right now, we started a pilot of our mobile web app in January. And since then, taking the feedback from that pilot, we've launched a native iOS and Android app. And we're now serving over 1,000 teachers, which ends up being over 20,000 students whose individual literacy needs are being met because their teachers are using Litterateur in their classroom. I've been working with an incredible team to do this. Jing is an ex-Apple designer, and Jeff is an expert engineer with experience from GE and Visa. Together, we're changing the future for students who've traditionally been left behind because they were considered too far below their grade level in reading. I'm doing this for Terrence, one of my students in my first year of teaching, who was resilient and brilliant in so many different ways, but was 9 years old in 2nd grade and still reading at a kindergarten level. I felt hopeless trying to help Terrence, and I felt like there must be a way, and now there is. Litterateur is here to support teachers who will be faced with students that they desperately want to help, so that they feel like they have the resources to do so. We're currently trying to build out our team. We have over 1,500 schools who are interested in bringing Dashboard to their sites. And so we need more developers and a sales and support team to manage all of this. For that reason, we're raising a seed round. Thank you.
Super. Wonderful. Thanks so much. Okay, first question from the panel. I think you didn't get one last time, so go ahead, Elizabeth.
So thank you. I think this is a fantastic endeavor. But my question is, since we're seeing school funding be cut, we see a lot of teachers that are having difficulty just buying basic supplies or having their classrooms properly outfitted. Yeah. How is this product going to be paid for by those schools? Yeah. And do you have a model to help those schools maybe get more funding or use this as a way to kind of increase their funding or viability?
Yeah, so that's a really good question. So one of the things that it's really important to think about is the way that we've built Litterateur is so that it fits perfectly into the school systems as they are, so that they don't need extra hardware. We're being really considerate and thoughtful about the way that we're rolling it out to schools that are already strapped for cash. Another thing is this falls into the world of curriculum, not just software. This is something that we're already talking to school district leaders and principals about, and they're already telling us that this is something that is missing and that they're all in desperate need for.
Super. Next question.
I have a question around the pricing. So you're charging for the non-free product $8 per student per year, which is not very much money at all. It seems undervalued in some ways. My question is kind of around how did you get to that pricing, and furthermore, how are you selling into these schools and convincing them to put money out? Schools are traditionally not very fast to adopt new technology and behaviors like this.
Yeah, not only are they not fast with technology, they're slow to pay for things. But for that reason, we've actually started to think about moving away from per student funding. That was an initial thing that we, we're using, but we're also charging per school site, which is making it a lot easier to serve bigger districts or bigger contracts. And also, we're working with nonprofits now, not exclusively like schools and districts, but also organizations that equip tutors to support students with literacy.
Okay, thank you. Thanks. Next question. More? John?
Can you tell me a little bit more about the product? So students are reading on their phones, and then teachers also have an app that's allowing them to understand and get data and analytics on what the students are reading. Can you walk me through that?
So students are reading whatever books that they have, whatever resources are available in their classroom. They're reading the books at their level. This is a guide so that the teachers have whatever resources they need to support that student as they're reading with that student in the moment.
And Monique, she finished early, so we've got about 40 more seconds. And I'm giving you a hard. I'm actually being genuine this time. Do you have another question
Monique
for us?
has asked me questions before.
My question is around the sales cycle. How long is the general sales cycle for you to sell into either a school individually or a district?
Yeah, so with the schools, it's a lot faster. We're seeing now that it could be up to 3 months. We're talking to schools right now and working to close that. With the nonprofits, it's a lot faster because they don't rely on that annual budget. And then the districts is something that we are still working through. Yeah.
Super, thanks so much. Let's give Michelle a hand. Michelle Ching with Litterateur. Thanks so much, Michelle. I think you hold on to the microphone going down that way. Yep. Okay. And we'll have our final startup now. Inclusive, so the second to last one on the right-hand column, Inclusive. We got a fan up here in the front row. Global P2P property sharing platform, which eliminates discrimination. Okay, so really excited to see this. Inclusive, and our speakers today will be Rohan Gilks and Dara King. Let's give them a hand as they come out, okay? Inclusive.
Hi, I'm Dara, and this is Rohan, and we are from Inclusive. So we went from being discriminated against to building our own short-term rental platform to our first paying customers in less than 5 months. Here's our story.
All right, crazy story coming up. First, some uncomfortable truths. So a Harvard study in Airbnb found that guests with distinctly African American names were 16% less likely to be accepted to stay at a home. Put this another way, 1 in every 6 African Americans would have issues on Airbnb simply because their names suggest that they might be black. So discrimination in the sharing economy is a real issue. And it's one of the reasons that African Americans and other minorities have not fully participated in the sharing economy like their numbers would suggest. My story. I was trying to go to Idaho for vacation. Who goes to Idaho for vacation? And I found a place on Airbnb that I really liked. I requested to book it, and I was told that it was not available. One of my white friends booked the same place for the same dates and time, and they were approved right away. I decided to tell my story on Medium. I wrote this article, and it ended up going crazy. So basically 450,000 people read it. I woke up to over 2,000 emails of people expressing some of the same issues that I had been through. Discrimination based on race, sexual orientation, gender identity, even the assumption of Muslim-sounding names, and so on. So this is a systemic issue. And we felt like we could step forward and do something to solve it. But it's not just a social issue about discrimination, it's also an economic problem. There are billions of dollars being left on the table because guests are unable to book homes, or people from marginalized communities just do not feel welcome and comfortable enough to take part in the sharing economy. And these are the reasons why we built Inclusive.
So Inclusive is a short-term rental platform that connects travelers with fun and affordable places to stay. We truly are an inclusive platform that welcomes everyone while ensuring that folks from marginalized communities can travel and experience without the weight and uncertainty of discrimination. Of course, there's some leaders in the space. Airbnb boasts revenues of $900 million, and HomeAway and VRBO was recently purchased by Expedia for $6 billion. Mr. B&B, a marketplace for gay travelers, that was also born out of a discrimination experience with Airbnb. They now boast over 60,000 properties and recently raised a seed round of $2 million. With a target market smaller than ours, they have proven that targeting marginalized communities is a viable business model. And of course, the space is rapidly growing, and we believe that there's room for all of us. Last year, 1.2 billion people rented a place to stay. That led to $550 billion in revenue. 55 billion of those dollars were short-term rental stays. That's about 10% of the market. Some projections say that by 2025, short-term rental stays will be about 50% of the accommodation sector.
So we're talking about a huge market, and we believe that from our efforts, we can actually grow this market by bringing new entrants new participants that would otherwise not participate in the rental sharing economy. Just by looking at our own data, we have spoken to folks that signed up for pre-launch on Inclusive, and 22% of them tell us that Inclusive.com will be the first time that they're actually using a participant in the sharing economy. Just like Mr. B&B, we have started and gotten some traction primarily with folks from minority communities. And if you look at just one section of minority communities, like African Americans, we're the fastest growing segment of the travel market, with sales approaching $50 billion per year. We believe that we understand this community better than some of the competition. We're able, through branding and good storytelling and engagement, to push this company forward and solve these problems for communities that have otherwise been ignored by the travel industry. And if you also look at what we're doing around technology, so it's not just a branding play. We're saying that we can use technology to solve some of these problems. So on Inclusive, for example, photos and names are not shown to the host until after the booking is confirmed. This is one suggestion. Oh, I'm there?
You're over. Yep,
okay, I'm sorry.
One
okay.
last sentence to close this out.
one last sentence.
So we are a team of seasoned entrepreneurs, and we've all moved in together into one house. That's right, 9 people in one house to make Inclusive a reality. If you're interested in hosting, investing, or traveling with Inclusive, come see us after the presentation, as we would love to meet you.
Super. Thank you
Cool.
both.
All right, thank you.
Quick hand. Question from the panel. Yes, John.
So I was really interested to hear where you're going, so I want to ask you a question that allows you to finish this. I think I understand how you would market this differently, but what are the other product differentiation pieces that you would have beyond the pictures not being shown until after the booking?
So our early adopters are people from marginalized communities. They've kind of been the low-hanging fruit that are very excited about an alternative to Airbnb. So that has helped us in terms of getting 50,000 pre-launch signups and also securing 100,000 properties. We know that those are the people who are going to be our brand ambassadors. After that, we've gotten a lot of interest from people who have had a not so great experience with other home sharing platforms. So improving on that experience has been one of the things that has really worked for us. Also our branding, and then expanding further down into experiences that are truly unique to our company is how we're going to grow our market.
Super.
Sorry, I'll take one quick follow-up. Are there any other product pieces that are different other than the picture not being shown right now?
There are a few other things that we're working through, because right now we're in live beta, and the photo piece is there, the name piece is there. We're doing some things around experiences and so on, but there are a few other things that we have to kind of get going before we launch next month.
Yeah, super. All right. Next question.
So how many, I'm sorry, I didn't hear, how many of you have a demand side, the supply side of lodging? Mm-hmm. On the demand side, I can see a huge interest and opportunity there. Are you seeing the same as far as people who are wanting to list their properties on your site, or are you finding that to be a point of difficulty?
Yeah, so you asked about how many people want to list. Okay, so yeah, we found that hosts are hosts whatever the platform is. They're excited to just welcome more people into their home. So we're launching with over 100,000 properties, and we hope within the next 12 months to have about 500,000. And we're quickly moving in that direction.
Oh, okay.
So I think my question is really piggybacking off of John's question a little bit, because I really don't feel like we got to a good answer. So a lot of people have different biases. So if I'm fine with another black person staying in my home, I may not be fine with a Muslim person staying in my home. How do you from a product level, what are you doing to make it so that those biases are not inherent in the product? And how do you view some of the changes that have been happening with Airbnb? Does that make it even more difficult for you to gain user share just because Airbnb is seeming to address some of their issues already?
Right, so we think that Airbnb did not address the main issue. If you give people the opportunity to see what some person looks like, they make decisions based on that. They take shortcuts. It's just a human thing. And so like what Uber did, they removed the profiles of the rider so that the driver would not make decisions based on who they carry. And we think that that is the one solution that is going to take us there. And it's something that Airbnb has expressed that they will not be doing, and no other company has done it either. So I think that one piece will be a differentiator for us for some time.
And another issue is if they choose to make other moves after the fact, they've lost kind of favor with communities that have experienced discrimination. And we speak to those communities, and they have spoken to us saying that they want our solution.
Okay, Rohan and Dara, thanks so much. Let's give them a hand.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, a couple housekeeping things before you go. The first thing I'd like to do is thank our panel. So again, we have Ryan Hoover, we have Monique Woodard, Elizabeth Reynolds, and John Lyman. So let's give them a hand, first of all. All right, did a great job with great questions. The second thing is I'd like to highlight our startups again and make sure that you visit them. So we've got Generation Games, Civic Eagle, We Finance, Litterateur, and Inclusive that were all finalists, in addition to the other ones that you'll see here. So make sure you visit with them.